Jomin, could you see my screen? Jomin, Jomin Jos, could you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Jomin. Right. So let's proceed. Today's session is going to be a great foundation for the whole of our computer network subject. I'm going to talk to you about the protocol layers and their service models. So I invite you to kindly actively participate in this session because this is going to be a strong base for you to build your networking skills. So when you talk about protocol layers, I'll tell you the background of it. Way back, around 30 years back, there was a necessity for connecting the computers together. Then we had to call it as network. So when we had to connect the network computers together, there was an important trouble the engineers and the designer faced. The trouble was the non-compatibility or incompatibility, whatever it is. Okay, there is no compatibility between the device. For instance, you talk about a printer which is having the serial port. Let me say it contains 9 pins, whereas one of the devices which was invented by HP, it was having 13 pins for the interconnection. Dell has invented with a pin of 9, but HP has invented with a pin of 13. Now these two cannot be interconnected. All right. Similarly, when you talk about network interface card, and one of the manufacturers, maybe the Xerox company or some Realtek company, they have manufactured using Manchester encoding, whereas somebody else who has produced maybe the Intel or XYZ company has produced a network interface card which uses some other coding. Now these two coding cannot understand, cannot match each other. So whatever is said cannot be received properly. I'll put it in the very low level understanding. We always use white color flag to denote peace. All right. So when there is a trouble, when there is a fight, if somebody shows white color flag, it indicates that he wants to go in peace with the opposite side. Fine. That is universally accepted. Similarly, dove is a symbol which is used to again denote the peace, whereas black denotes something negative all the time. All right. And that's the thing which is going on. Assume that there are two countries, countries A and country B, where one country uses white to signify the peace and harmony, whereas the other country signifies white as a sad or probably anger or negative feeling. Now, how are these two countries are going to communicate each other? Because their symbols are different. White color signifies something in one country, it signifies something else in the other country. Now, these two cannot communicate in a correct way. All right, so this leads to something called standardization. So, if across the world, if we use the same symbol to denote something, then it is easy for anyone to understand. All right, so that is the necessity for the birth of OSI reference model. That is what we are going to learn today. What is this OSI? It stands for Open System Interconnection. All right. It was proposed by ISO. We know International Organization for Standardization is the organization which coined this OSI reference model, and it was universally accepted. All right. So one or two lines about this OSI reference model. This OSI reference model tells what is to be done and not how it is to be done. I repeat, OSI reference model tells us what is to be done and not how it is to be done. For instance, it may say send this packet from A to B, but it will not say how to send the packet from A to B. That is left to the designers. All right. So with that base of what is this OSI reference model, we call it as protocol layers and their service model. Moving on.
Sir,
Yes, sir.
sir, are you still in the first page or is it just
Now
stuck
only I
in the
have
first?
moved. Now
Okay,
only I
sir.
have moved to the
I
second
thought
one.
it's stuck in the first page itself.
Now I have moved to the second one. It is a blank.
Okay, okay, sir.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. All right. So now I'm going to draw little one or two small diagrams. Hope you can help. You can get some more help out of it. So I represent a PC like this. Let me call it as a PC. And I also put a server. It could be a web server. Normally servers are denoted like this. Please bear with me. I'm not good in drawing. Some of you might be. This is a switch. All right. Now it is also connected to a LAN. Now these two are connected through an internet. So internet normally we represent it by a cloud. So this is the internet and it is connected. We are not going to worry about what kind of cables are used, how are they connected, all these things. All right. Now we have got a user here. This is me. You could see very lean. So it's me. And this is somebody, another very lean person. Okay. So this is the sender. He is the sender and he is the receiver. All right. Now, between the sender and the receiver, what exactly happens? That is what we are going to learn today. All right. And when sender is typing a message, okay, he is sending an email. So let this be represented as email. How is it going from the PC, from the user to the internet? And then how it is shared across the internet, how it is received by the receiver as the email which is sent by the sender. Right? So, what are all the transitions or transmissions which are happening between this place and this place? So, the this part we are going to learn today. All right, what exactly happens from the hands of the sender to the hands of the receiver? This is what all about our OSA reference model. All right. Now there is a question which people always ask: what is the necessity for OSA reference model? I will come back to this slide little later. I'll go to the OSA reference model. I skip this as well. I skip this as well. I go for this. All right. Now when you talk about the OSA reference model, OSA reference model has got 7 layers. I write it OSI, which stands for Open System Interconnection. OSI reference model has got 7 layers. It is always good you remember all these 7 layers name in a specific order, either from top to bottom or from bottom to top. Any order, please remember in one of the orders. I normally would not like my students to mug up the things, but here I would recommend you to remember the names in the specific order. That will be very, very handy for you to learn further. I always remember it from the bottom up approach. So I remember it as physical layer, data link layer, network, transport, session, presentation, and application layer. I leave to you, but use one of the ways. The order should be maintained. It cannot be jumbled. All right. So there are 2 ways to learn OSA reference model. One is from the top-down approach. The other one is from the bottom-up approach, which means you can learn about application layer, then you can learn about presentation layer and so on, or you can start learning from the physical layer moving towards the application layer. But always it is recommended by the network team or the network experts to always go for top down approach because it starts from the user and ends with the user. Otherwise it is difficult for someone to comprehend this. And interestingly, our textbook Cross Ross follows top down approach. So this is going to be your second unit, this will be your third unit, fourth unit, this put together fifth unit, and we'll talk about SDN in the sixth unit. All right. So these 4 important layers, I'm sorry, except the presentation and the session, we'll be learning about different layers in different units. All right. And probably I'll use this slide to explain to you what is exactly is happening. Right. So we have a person here who is using a computer. Let this be a web browser. All right. Maybe a Chrome browser. All right. So in the Chrome, okay. So it's a Chrome browser. Now the user sits and types in a website address. What happens? The packet or the message which goes to application layer, then it goes to presentation layer, then it goes to session layer, and it goes to transport layer, network layer, data link layer, physical layer, and then it travels through the physical link and it goes to the other side. Then from the in the receiver side, it travels this direction, reaches the application layer, and it will be received by the receiver from that side. All right. Now it is very important for us to know what exactly is happening in this layer. What is these layers all about? What is exactly happening in this layer? All right, that I will be explaining to you. Um, um, could you hear me? There is my machine got stuck. Are you able to hear me? Can I proceed?
Yes, sir.
All right. So till the machine comes
Yes, sir.
back, yeah, till the machine comes back, I'll go ahead explaining to you. We are going to learn what exactly happens in every of the layers. All right. As the user types in, I take the example of browsing something in google.com. All right. So this is your machine. Okay. There is a technical difficulty. I'm sorry for it. I'm sorry for the interruption. I'm back. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. Right. So this slide is going to be very useful to you to learn further. So I spoke about there are 7 layers starting from application to the physical layer. What happens in the application layer? It interfaces to the end user. All right. So you and me are called as the end user. I took the example of using a web page. Suppose I type www.google.com, which is the URL. I type it in the browser. Browser is an application, and this URL is an address which I type in the browser. So as soon as I type this URL in the browser, what happens? This is taken up by the machine, and immediately one of the operations which happens in the higher level is DNS. All right. DNS stands for domain name system. You are well aware of it. Anyway, wanted to highlight that. All right. Domain name system is a protocol which is here. So domain name system is a protocol which is responsible for the mapping of your URL with the IP address. Please remember, our machine cannot use the URL directly to connect to any remote machine. The important address which is used by the computers to connect with the other machine is the IP address and MAC address. All right. Now this domain name system is a service which is running in the application layer, which takes up your URL and it maps with the IP address. So once the IP address is ready, now the machine is ready to send its application layer data to the presentation layer. All right. So this application layer data is called PDU. Okay. PDU stands for Protocol Data Unit. I repeat, PDU stands for Protocol Data Unit. This is called application layer PDU, and it goes to the presentation layer. What is the other important protocol which is playing a major role, which is called HTTP? Is it mentioned here? Yes. HTTP, which stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. All right. So this is a very important protocol, HTTP, HTTPS. It has got 1.0, 1.1, persistent, non-persistent. There are varieties of protocols of HTTP is available, but in general, it is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So this HTTP packet goes to the presentation layer. Now, what happens in the presentation layer? Probably I want you to read these lines. Okay, mainly the compression and encryption decryption. All right. Now your actual data is might be probably a bigger one, especially when the response is coming from the server. It is going to be of big in size, so they need to be compressed. there are lossless compression, lossy compression available. That's all different story. We are not going to get into the details of it. Anyway, we talk about the compression. So presentation layer takes care of the necessity of compression or encryption or decryption, whatever is needed. Encryption, decryption are the algorithms or methodologies which are used in crypto system for security purposes, as many of you are aware already. All right. So this happens at the presentation layer. Then goes with the presentation layer after it is encrypted or decrypted or probably after formatted or compressed. These all are optional services which are available in presentation layer. I repeat, these all are optional services which are available in the presentation layer. Then goes the packet goes to the session layer. All right. So from the presentation layer, we get presentation layer PDU. Okay, PDU stands for Protocol Data Unit. It goes to the session layer. In the session layer, we talk about the session establishment and broke down all this stuff. Probably if I use the word cookie, you can easily understand. And also session dialogue, who has to send, who has to receive, and all these activities are carried out in the session layer. All right. So session layer is responsible for your interactive login and also the session related activities. All right. So remote procedure call and other related protocols are involved in the session layer. Moving on, we have got the transport layer. This is something very, very crucial which we will be learning in detail. Okay. So transport layer is responsible for end-to-end transport. Please remember the keyword. The important operation which happens at the transport layer is end-to-end transport service. We talk about segmentation and reassembly, reliability, multiplexing, whether it is connection oriented or connectionless, flow control, error checking, sequencing, congestion control, and many more. This all happens at the transport layer. And the very important or very famous two protocols which we'll be learning at the transport layer is TCP and UDP. TCP stands for Transmission Control Protocol, whereas UDP stands for User Datagram Protocol. Just to give a gist of what they are, TCP is not, as I said, Transmission Control Protocol, which is called Connection Oriented Protocol, and obviously UDP is a connection-less protocol. TCP takes care of sequencing, error checking, flow control, congestion control, and so on. Whereas UDP is not at all worrying about flow control, congestion control, error detection, and those things. All right. So we'll be learning about these two important protocols. Very interesting stuff are waiting for you during the discussion on transport layer. So mainly we use the word end-to-end transportation when we talk about the transport layer. So which layer is responsible for end-to-end connection and transportation? It is transport layer. And the data which is in the transport layer is called as segment. And this is again a key word you have to remember. Segment is the word which is used to represent the data at the transport layer. And whatever comes from session layer, which comes here is session layer PDU. Whatever goes from transport layer to the network layer is called transport layer PDU. For PDU and again stands for protocol data unit. Then it goes to the network layer. Network layer takes care of two things. One is routing, the other one is addressing. Okay, so addressing and routing are the two important functions of your network layer, of our network layer, and the very famous network device called router is working at the network layer. So we'll be learning about how the packets are given address and how the packets are finding its way to the destination, how routers are using the routing table, and many more routing algorithms will be learning in the network layer. And the data which is in network layer is called as packets. All right. And IP is the very famous protocol we'll be learning. And ICMP, Internet Control Message Protocol, ARP, Address Resolution Protocol. We know about the ping and traceroute commands. We have already experimented it. These all are running in the network layer. Moving on, we go to the data link layer, where your network layer PDU is sent to the data link layer. Now, the place where data link layer and network layer are meeting is a very, very crucial point in the perspective of the network engineers or the designers. This is the place we match or we connect the hardware with the software. Whatever we have learned so far is on the software part. Whatever is happening from the data link layer till the physical layer, it talks about the hardware. All right. So data link layer is little tricky for many to learn. Wherever you go, people will talk less about data link layer because it is very, very complicated. Not everyone will talk about the data link layer in detail. But data link layer has got lot and lot of mysteries which will be known to you only if you learn it deep down. Otherwise, you will only learn in the peripheral level. I invite you to learn more about the data link layer as you grow. All right, and the data which is in the data link layer is called frame. Okay, so when I use the word frame, suddenly you should have a flash in your mind. Okay, I'm talking about the data link layer, and the main purpose of data link layer is switching and error checking and correction. I spoke about the CRC in the last class itself, cyclic redundancy check. And the second important address which is used in data link layer is MAC. MAC stands for medium access control. I spoke about medium access control when we had the collision. Hope you remember when I spoke about the hubs, we saw something called the collision happening, and we need some protocols to manage the flow of data. Hence, we need something called medium access control. The address which is used here is MAC address, right? And another speciality of data link layer is data link layer is the only layer which adds trailer to the packet. I repeat, data link layer is the only layer which adds trailer to the packet. Every other layers are adding or removing the headers, whereas data link layer adds or removes header and trailer. I'll have one of the slides to explain that. And finally, we got the physical layer. Not much of protocols are learned in the physical layer, but it all talks about little bit of electrical side. Okay, what are the signals? What is kind of coding? What's the meaning of zero? Is it absence of voltage or is it minus 5 voltage? Plus, is it a plus 1 or it is plus 5? And a lot of such discussions will be happening in the physical layer. As part of computer networks, we'll spend very little space to learn about the physical medium, but I encourage you to read a lot of textbooks which talks about the physical layer in detail. It also talks about the electrical pulses, how they are encoded, how they are learned, how they are interpreted, and all these things are available in a lot of other interesting books. But our textbook does not talk much about the physical layer. All right. So I repeat, what are the things you are going to learn? In from the application layer, the user is interacting with the application layer, where in our web application, our HTTP protocol and DNS protocols are directly involved. Then in case we need compression, presentation layer will come into picture. To maintain the session, we have the session layer. Then for the end-to-end transmission, we use either TCP or UDP. As we are using the web application, we use TCP in the transport layer. Please remember, HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol, uses TCP at the transport layer. And transport layer talks about one important transport layer talks about one important number or address which is called as port number, PORT, port number or port address, which is connected with transport layer. When we talk about the network layer, where routing and forwarding and the IP addressing. So addressing and routing are happening in the case of network layer, which uses IP address, either IPv4 or IPv6. Moving on, in the data link layer, which takes care of the frame control and switching, and the main protocols which are very famous in data link layer are your triple P, that is point-to-point protocol, and some of them are missing here. We got frame relay, X.25, DQDB, FDDI. There are a lot of other protocols which are involved in the data link layer. And physical layer, as I said, talks about the physical connectivity. Okay, before getting into that, I'll go to the first slide. Yeah, this is another representation of our OSI reference model. All right, I pause for a while for 1 minute. Could you please type your register number once again, maybe in 1 minute, and then I'll move on to talk about this. In the meantime, if you have got any question, you can ask me. I'll resume my class in 1 minute.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, last class we learned about packet loss. Sir, it's. I was just wondering when it occurs, uh, if it's not handled, parts of our experience on the internet could go missing. So, what's the solution to packet loss?
Right. So packet loss normally happens in the routers level. It also can happen anywhere. But when you talk about the standard network, we always talk about the packet loss which happens at the routers level. All right. So we call it as congestion. Just think of a four-way junction. There is a signal which is connecting four different roads, and where if there is a huge traffic comes from one direction, obviously it will take lot and lot of time. But in the real world, we don't talk about loss of cars or vehicles, but in the case of networking, due to the limited buffers at the routers, the packets will be dropped. Hence there will be a packet loss. That's the first. I'm answering the first question. Second question you have asked me was, how are we handling the packet loss? Have I got it correctly? Was the question right?
Yes, sir.
Right. So packet loss can be handled in multiple ways. One of the ways is the application layer protocol. When I'm talking about the data which is traveling in multiple ways, so in take this page, this slide. Uh, from the sender side, the packet will be traveling in this direction, and the packet will be traveling through the physical link. And at the receiver side, it will receive the packet will be received, and it will be traveling in this direction to the receiver. All right. Now, what happens at the physical layer? The packets will be received. So what is happening in the physical layer? It's all going to be just electrical pulses, zeros and ones. So physical layer will do nothing. It goes to the data link layer. All these chunks of zeros and ones, I'll put it that way. All these chunks of zeros and ones goes to the data link layer. All right. What happens in the data link layer? We have called something called frame check sequence, or CRC, cyclic redundancy check, or FCS, frame check sequence. These are the methodologies which sits there and finds out if there is any error in the bits. Okay. It also uses the cyclic redundancy check. I spoke about the trailer which is added to the data link layer. Hope you have listened to that. Only the data
Yes,
link
sir.
layer adds the trailer. So in the trailer, you got the FCS or CRC. This I'll tell you how it is really happening, but I'll put it in abstract way for the time being. So it calculates if there is any error in the bits which are received. If it is a single bit error, these methodologies can correct the error, okay, in the bits itself. But if there is no error, if the CRC says it's all okay, then you can go to the network layer. So in the network layer, you got the IP protocol, which is a connection-less protocol, but still you got a method to find out if there is any error. We call it as checksum. Okay. So this checksum calculates if any error is happening or anything is missing. Please remember, now from the physical layer, it's all. I'll just connect my pad. It caused a trouble earlier. I do not know whether you support me now. Hope I can use it. Okay. All right. So in the physical layer, you got zeros and ones. Okay, it is not giving. It is still giving me a trouble. Mm, okay, I think there is a trouble with this. if it's writing. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's writing. I got zeros, ones, zeros, one, zeros, one, like this. This is what happening at the physical layer. When it goes to the data link layer, it is collecting all these bits. It is collecting all these bits and it creates something called frames. There could be multiple frames which are connected. How this framing is done, I'll explain to you later. Let me say this is first frame, this is second frame, this is third frame. Now it goes to the network layer where all these frames may be taken together as part of one datagram. Okay, so these three frames are forming one datagram, and there could be first datagram, second datagram, and so on. And all these datagrams are put together to create something called a segment at the transport layer, and so on. Now what happens, you'll assume that the 0 is flipped to 1 when it is received. Can it be found? Yes, it can be found by FCS or CRC, I said. So it corrected to 0. Now it's perfect. This goes to the data link layer. Now data link layer expects 1 or 2 or 3 frames to be connected so that it can be called as a frame. But it finds that some set of zeros and ones are missing, which means the second frame is not received properly. Okay, what will the data link layer do? It will take the first and second, it will forward to the network layer, where the network layer has to rebuild the first segment, not segment, what is the name? Packet, first packet. But what happens, because the second frame is not found, it is not available, that will be missing here. Now the checksum in the network layer will say, I'm sorry boss, something is missing, I cannot proceed. So this packet will be dropped. Okay, this is another place where a packet can be dropped. I'm not talking about the router, I'm talking about the actual dropping of one of the packets. So the whole of this packet will be dropped. The first portion is available, third part is also available, not the second part. So it cannot reconstruct the original message here, hence it will be dropped. So how can they be handled? Different applications use different methodologies. One of the important protocols in the transport layer is TCP. So TCP takes care of this problem. When there is a mismatch in the checksum, TCP will notify the sender that whatever you have sent recently is not able to be constructed. There is a packet loss. Please resend. So the sender will resend the packet. This is one way of handling. If you are using UDP, UDP is least bothered about this trouble. Okay, it is not going to mind. It will forward to session presentation. It goes to the application layer. Now the application layer, when it is rebuilding the information, it finds a small portion is missing. So that will send an intimation to the other side that a particular portion is missing. Please resend the whole data. Okay, this is how the packet loss is handled. Okay, nowadays when we talk about the current network technologies, it has got very high reliability. Okay, so when you talk about the high reliability, it induces almost zero errors. Okay, because of the current technologies which we have in the high speed internet, the bit error or the packet loss are very much reduced. Hence we use UDP in many of the important applications when we need a fast transmission. And the checksums and this network and transport, especially on the network layer. For example, when we talk about IPv6, IPv6 is not at all bothered about the checksum. It is not calculating the checksum, it just forwards the packet to the upper layer, because IPv6 is very optimistic. It says if something has really lost it, lost when the transport layer or the application layer take care, I do not want to slow down the speed by doing the checksum calculation in the network layer. All right, so this is how the loss is managed based on the application. If you look at the live streaming of a cricket match, even if you look at, if you miss 1 or 2 frames, we are least bothered, unless it's a very important frame, maybe a wicket or 6 or something. We are least bothered, especially in the test match. If or 10 seconds of video is missed, we are not bothered. But we have to be really bothered when we have a loss of data when we do the financial transaction or medical transaction. Okay, it's all depending on what kind of application you use, what is the requirement of that application or that domain. Based on that, the packet loss is handled. Have I answered your question anyway?
Yes, sir.
All right. So this slide would probably give you some more insight into the different layers and different protocols. I said application layer talks about various protocols. I encourage you to please make a note of this name of these protocols. And as soon as we start the class tomorrow, probably I will send a quick quiz for you to give your answer. Okay. So majority of this protocol you can note down quickly. Domain name system, hypertext transfer protocol, peer-to-peer, post office protocol, simple network, okay, simple mail transfer protocol, telnet, file transfer protocol, and so on. All right. So every of the layer have their own protocols. Please make a note of all these protocol addresses quickly. When you talk about transport layer, you got the TCP and UDP, transport layer services, SSL, secure socket layer. Then you got your IP, address distribution protocol, IP security, ICMP, Internet Group Management Protocol, that is IGMP. OSPF stands for Open Shortest Path First, which is a very interesting routing protocol. Then at the physical layer, you got the MAC, logical link control, virtual LAN, then automatic ATM, asynchronous transfer mode, then fiber frame relay, as I said, HDLC, point to point protocol. Then you got Q921 token ring. Then finally you got the other DSL and other standards. All right. So you should know the expansion of all these protocols. You also have to learn about the usage of these protocols when you come for the tomorrow's class. I'm going back to the other slide. So this is the example I have taken from the internet. What happens when you send a Twitter message from your device? But I have spoken to you with the example of a web application. All right. So this slide helps you to know the name of the data in each layer. In application layer, it is called as message. In the presentation and session layer, they are called as data. And in the transport layer, it is named as segment. In network layer, it is called as packet. Then data link layer frame, and in the physical layer it is given as bits and bytes. All right, moving on. As I said, the first three, actually the first four and the first five are software layers, and the physical layer and data link layer are hardware layers. All right, and your transport layer is very, very crucial layer, as I have said already. This I have spoken to you. Right. Second one is encapsulation and decapsulation. What is happening this is another keyword when you talk about the OSI reference model. What happens in the case of encapsulation, decapsulation? I'll tell you very simple. See what happens in the case of encapsulation. You got the data here. It could be a message, or it could be the packet or segment or XOZ, and it is added with header. In the case of data link layer, it adds the header and the trailer. All right. So encapsulation means you are adding the header and or trailer to the data. That is called encapsulation. Then you can understand what is the meaning of decapsulation. You are just removing. Okay, removing the header and the trailer from the data is called decapsulation. Either this or this, which one? I think this will be a better screen to explain to you about the encapsulation, decapsulation. And you and me are sitting here, and the sender, and we are sending it to the receiver here. Right. So from the sender, you are creating a data. Then it goes to the presentation layer. Please note this: presentation layer and session layer, they don't add any header or trailer. Okay. Presentation layer only changes the data if required. Either it will compress, or it will encrypt, or it will encode, do whatever is required based on the requirement. So no header or trailer is added at the presentation layer. Similarly, in the session layer, nothing is happening on the data except adding some bits on the session management. But once it comes to the transport layer, this is the transport layer data, and it adds the header called TCP header or UDP header. Generally, it is called as the transport layer PDU. So this is transport layer PDU goes to the network layer. Network layer adds network layer header. In general, it is IP header. Then it goes to the data link layer. It adds the data link layer header as well as trailer, which is not shown here. And then it goes to the physical layer. All right. What happens at the receiver side? The receiver receives all these things. that is actual data, encapsulated by TCP header, encapsulated by IP header, encapsulated by the Ethernet header and trailer. It comes to the physical layer. It is converted into zeros and ones. And from here, when it is going at the data link layer, it will be received in this way. Okay. So from the data link layer, when the packet is moved to the network layer, it opens the packet, checks the data link layer header. All right, and it checks whether the target MAC address is this machine's MAC address. If there is a match, it will forward. If it is not matching, the packet will be dropped. Okay, so when the receiving frames target MAC address is checked with the receiver's MAC address. If it matches, the packet will be forwarded. What is actually forwarded? This header and the trailer will be removed. Only this portion will be forwarded. Which is this portion? This is what seen here. All right. At the network layer, it opens the IP header, checks the IP address, and of course, few other parameters, and it checks if the IP matches, that the header is removed, the remaining portion is forwarded. If there is a match, the packet will be dropped. I'm sorry, if there is a mismatch, the packet will be dropped. Moving on, we go to the transport layer. You have got the transport layer header as well as the data. It checks the transport layer header, checks for the port number and other parameters. And if there is a match, it will work on that, otherwise it will drop. Once it is sending the packet to the session layer, the datagram to the session layer, the segment to the session layer, it removes the transport layer header, only the data is sent to the upper layers and so on. So encapsulation is happening in this direction, decapsulation is happening in this direction. Please remember this. So adding the header or trailer is encapsulation, removing them is called the decapsulation. Look at this. From the application layer, you got the data is remaining same. It comes every layer adds something, and when it is going up, it is all getting removed. This is about encapsulation, decapsulation. This is a better picture. You got your actual data. This is called upper layer data. In the transport layer, TCP header. In the network layer, TCP header along with you got the IP header. A very simple thing. Okay, you have got a letter. Okay, this letter is put in an envelope in the transport layer. Then the whole envelope is put in a bigger envelope. This is happening in the network layer, and still bigger envelope. Okay, another envelope. This is happening in the data link layer and so on. When it is going in the reverse direction of the receiver, the envelopes are opened. Whatever is inside will be taken. Whatever is inside will be taken. Whatever is inside will be received by the application layer. All right. This is what all about your encapsulation and decapsulation. I have got few more pictures, but I'm going to talk only about the same thing again and again, probably in a little way. All right. So I due to time constraint, I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. Hope I have given you adequate input of what is happening in the different layers. All right. So in a nutshell, to wind up this class, I got 1 minute more. So to wind up this class, we have got seven layers in OSI reference model. They are physical layer, data link layer, network layer, transport layer, session, presentation, and application. To give one or two lines about these layers, application layer interfaces with the user, and it also has got several application protocols such as HTTP, FTP, SMTP, and XOSS. Then presentation layer takes care of compression, decompression, encryption, decryption, encoding, decoding, those stuff. Then session layer maintains the dialog control and session management. Transport layer, connection-oriented service, connectionless service, TCP and UDP, end-to-end connection. Then when you talk about the network layer, addressing and routing, or in other words, addressing and forwarding. IP is here, which is Internet Protocol, which is a connectionless protocol. And we talk about the routers and the IP addresses here. Data link layer, frames. It talks about framing. It has got header as well as trailer. The very famous data link protocol is Ethernet. And when you talk about the physical layer, it is having only the physical connectivity. So the data in physical layer is bits and bytes. In the data link layer, it is frames. In the network layer, it is packet. In the transport layer, it is segment. And in all the other upper layers, it is all called as message or data or stream or byte, anything. You can call it as anything. In the transport layer, you got the port number. In the network layer, you got the IP address. In the data link layer, you got the MAC address. Right? So I stop here my presentation. So thanks for your time. Hope I have helped you in learning about the OSI reference model. Something related to OSI reference model is your TCP IP model, which has got only 5 layers. So I invite you to know the difference between TCP IP model and OSI reference model, and also the functionalities and various protocols in every of the layers when you come tomorrow. All right. So thank you so much. Before you leave, again, you type your register number and you can take a leave. Anyway, I am available for you if at all you have got any question to make. Thank you so much. Have a great day.